Hey guys, welcome back to the Grow Like a Mother podcast. Today, I get to welcome on a very special guest. I have Megan Champion on with me today, and Megan's a founder and CEO of Mothers Together, which is a support community that's designed to improve the mental health of mothers who are raising neurodivergent kids. As you know, my son is autistic, and I have found following Megan on Instagram to be completely life changing. I wanted to get her on the podcast. She was gracious enough to come on today, and you're going to love the episode. Megan's also the host of her own podcast. It's called On the Hard Days. And her Instagram, which I already mentioned, On the Hard Days, has this wonderful video series that she does called Why Moms of Neurodivergent Kids Are Struggling. Megan is a former elementary school teacher and mother of three. She is the leader of a beautiful community. And we talked today a lot about how important community is in parenting and in supporting the moms who are raising kids who are having struggles with their mental health, with neurodiverse challenges, all of these pieces that are maybe hard for other people to really relate with. I think, I wrote down in my phone, I'm just going to read it off here for you guys, a couple months ago, just different things that had come to my mind about why it's so difficult. Why am I feeling so alone and so challenged being the mother of a neurodivergent child? Like, is it why can't other people recognize it? Kind of was where I was at. And some of the unique challenges that we're facing are perhaps not being able to work normal hours, right? Maybe we need to bring our kids to therapies or different things. Or maybe we're getting calls from the school that our kid can't make it through the day. We can't hold down a job with normal hours. That can be very difficult, right? Maybe we don't have anyone else who can watch them. Maybe their needs are so high or they are so, quote, difficult to manage that other people can't watch our kids. So we don't get any breaks. It's only us, right? Sometimes it can be harder to explain to somebody else how to do the thing in a way that is supportive for your kid, that avoids meltdown, that stimulates regulation, like all of the things. Like we do things for reasons. It's so hard to sometimes explain these reasons that we just do everything ourselves so that we know that it's done in a way that feels supportive and safe for us and for our kids, right? Other parents don't necessarily get it because they're not living it. And so we don't have a connection or a sounding board and a support network, which is what Megan really brings to the table here, right? There are other siblings sometimes in the household. Megan has two other kids. I've got three other kids. They might not understand it, especially if they're young or especially if they're a step sibling coming in, right? Explaining to the other siblings who might be neurotypical or they might be neurodiverse with their own challenges, why things need to be done differently for a particular kid can be exhausting, right? All the behind the scenes work that it takes. So that your kid can get through the day so that you guys can get to the grocery store, right? Like it can require so much pre-planning and mental energy to get out of the house to accomplish an activity, and all other people might see is that it was successful. What they don't see is all the work, all the planning, all of the preparation, and then the meltdown at the end. So all of these things, in addition to being a constant advocate, always being the mama bear who is there to protect her child, who is there to stand up for her child. Like these energetic outputs that we're required to give as conscious parents who are trying their best to raise healthy, happy kids, it's exhausting. It can bring rage, resentment, loneliness, overwhelm. We feel pulled in too many directions, not in control of our time. It can lead to marital stress and losing friendships. There's so many pieces of the puzzle. And so, without going too deep into it, which I probably already have, I want you to listen to this conversation with Megan because she gets it and she's built this beautiful community for us to be able to connect with other moms, support each other, get support, have resources. It's a really beautiful space that she's created. And I also want to, before we dive in, if you haven't listened to the episode from just a few months ago in October, How to Master the Mental Load of Motherhood with my guest Valerie, um, I would suggest going back and taking a listen to that one too, because it's also a really poignant example and teaching of how we can help our own selves in this journey, right? Like, yes, we are mothering and we are parenting, and there's stress that comes with that, right? There is a mental load. How can we share it? How can we, yeah, with Valerie, she talks about the fair play method and how we can share it with our spouse. But on today's episode, we're talking more about how we can share it with other moms. Both of these women are pointing to the fact that we can't do it alone, that we're not supposed to do it alone, that there needs to be community. And I absolutely love that. And so, without further ado, I will let you guys just get right into the episode. I hope you love it as much as I do. Megan and I were just getting to know each other a little bit before we hit record, and it turns out we have a lot in common. And Megan, I wonder if can you give us like a just brief, like, who are you outside the bio? Like, who is Megan?
That's a loaded question.
Right.
And first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm
Yeah.
excited to chat. I'm a mom first and foremost, right? I have three kids, and they all are neurodivergent, but one specifically has that laundry list of struggles and challenges. And he's an amazing kid, and he's 11 now, but it has been really rough go for him and for myself. And so who I really am behind the bio is a really sensitive person, someone who thought my entire childhood and teenage years and young adult years that I would be the best mom because that was my sole purpose in life is to have children and to raise them in a way that they will be happy and successful and healthy and productive members of society. And that's fine and well, but obviously life has some curveballs and I was not necessarily prepared for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I think that we all have this expectation before motherhood, whether our kids are neurodivergent or not, of what it's going to look like for us to be mothers. And of course, in our minds, our children are like perfectly behaved and everything goes smooth, right? And then we enter
Yeah.
motherhood and we're like, what the actual? And then it's like the next kids come and you're like, what is happening? Why is this not how I thought? And why am I,
Yeah.
in my case anyway, is like, why am I ragey? And why am I so tired? And all of these things. And so, um, yeah, I get that not having the reality be exactly what we had envisioned. And I love what you do and how you speak to your community in terms of just being honest on where you're at. Like, today is a hard day, and this is what I'm struggling with, and speaking that out loud because so many other people are silently also struggling with that thing. And so bringing it to the forefront has been, I mean, for me as an end user, really, really liberating. What has it done for
Yeah.
you in terms of like, how has this changed your life?
I was just going to say it has completely changed my life. And when you were talking earlier about questioning, like, what's going on here? Like, why something's amiss. For me, I took that so personally. And again, maybe that's just me and how I am. I I couldn't just be like, well, this is strange. What is going on? Instead, it was like, what have you done? What have you done? Your poor child is a mess and he is suffering and he is struggling. And what did you do? And I internalized so much blame. I put so much blame on myself. I felt ashamed. I started to doubt my parenting, not just for him, but there's two more. And I just sunk into a depressive spiral, anxiety, depression, overwhelm, burnout, exhaustion. But I couldn't keep putting on this fake happy, how was your weekend? How are things going? Like I can't. I got nothing. I cannot tell you things are good because they are not good. But nobody wants to hear that. And so when you find out over time that nobody wants to hear that, that they want to hear you say, yeah, my weekend was great. Great. Okay, moving on, small talk. But if I really opened up about the meltdowns and the dysregulation and the way that not only is my child struggling, but his behaviors would drastically affect the mental health of his siblings. And so now I've got a home that feels traumatic for everybody. Even the pets are affected by screaming. And so because I couldn't say life is great, we had a good weekend, I started to just be quiet. And when I went quiet, and I talk about this a lot because I don't think moms even realize when that moment is that you start to go quiet. You're not going to talk about it anymore. You quickly realize nobody wants to hear this. And anybody that does, I certainly don't know where they are. I haven't met anybody else like me. So the best thing that I can do, the safest thing that I can do for myself and for my child is to stop talking. So fine, I will go ahead and play the game and I will say, yeah, everything's great. We had a good weekend. But inside I'm ready to explode or cry or whatever. And that's how it has to be. And I so many moms built this wall around themselves um, because of this very reason. And I did the same thing until I didn't, but for a long time I did. And I thought it would keep me safe to be quiet. Instead, it made me depressed because inside I was still thinking the same thoughts. I just wasn't putting them out into the world, and they were eating me alive, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I made a list the other day, and I will have read it probably in the intro, but just the different ways of um, how moms with these struggles of raising neurodivergent kids in an intentional and really thoughtful way and doing our best, like the ways that our lives are different from other moms that like people don't even realize, and it might feel small when you try to verbalize it. But it's difficult when others around you aren't in the same boat because they just can't get it. And so it's really beautiful, this community that you've built of moms who are in it, who can support each other. Can you tell us a little bit about Mothers Together? And like, obviously we kind of get a bit of the backstory of like how it came to be and what prompted it, but give us the meat of it.
Oh, it's I appreciate you asking, and it's like my whole life now. It's my happy place. It's what I needed that I did not have when my son was really young. I was going from that quiet place, right? When we're not sharing because it's too challenging to even explain. People don't understand it, and there's judgment and criticism. And after a while of that, I thought, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to lose my mind if I don't connect and find another mom like me, because I can't find any in my neighborhood or in my kids' school, or no one in my community is seems to have a kid like mine. So if I don't find somebody soon, well, then I'll know for sure. Not only am I a bad mom, but I should have never had kids in the first place because I'm doing them a disservice. And I really was sinking down. I desperately needed someone to talk to. So Mothers Together has come from that. It actually started with my own podcast, on the hard days, in which I was interviewing moms and I found them through social media. And they would come on and share their stories. And it was so amazing to hear other moms talking about what I was going through. But when we would hang up the call, I'd be like, I don't want to let you go. We just met 45 minutes ago. Can I have your number? Can we be best friends? I need you now. And I realized what I really was looking for was a community of my own. I need a pod of women. I need people that I can trust, that I can talk to, that I can share the actual information of what's going on in my home. And I searched online, and I certainly there was nothing local in my area. Wouldn't even know where to start. But I searched online, and there was nothing. There just was nothing. There are a lot of support resources for the children. I was looking for something for me. So Mothers Together comes from that. It is a membership style community where moms all are raising neurodivergent kids with all different types of diagnoses and challenges and behaviors and um, all of that. Yes, we swap resources and strategies and tips and tricks, but that is not the main purpose of its existence. It's for friendship. It's for connection. It is to feel better about ourselves as moms, knowing that we have the support of our close friends in our back pockets, helping us get through literally every day. So, what I do at first is I break moms into small groups called pod squads based on a form that they fill out, and really targeting, if you're raising a 16-year-old, then you being in a group with a 3-year-old might not be the best fit at first. So I really want to make sure that I'm helping you find your people. Once that pod squad is established and you've spent a few weeks chatting, getting to know each other, now I'm going to introduce you. And we have these stages of being in the community where I'm giving more and more resources, sort of tailored to your needs. And essentially, when it's all said and done, you build your own support network. It might only have a few people in it because that's all you need, and that's fine. Some people have 30 people that they now can count on at, the drop of a hat. Um, and it has changed so many lives, and I'm super grateful for it, including my own. It's super special. So I appreciate you asking about it.
Well, it just sounds like you're doing such a wonderful and thoughtful job of facilitating this journey for the other moms because um, it can feel overwhelming when too much comes at you. You find a new resource and you want to be a sponge, and you're like, yes, I want it all. But having someone who knows the journey to gatekeep for you a little bit, I can imagine would feel so safe because you're sort of being given these steps so that you can integrate and you can, because we all know, like in a lot of the work that I do, it's don't take on too much. It's small steps, right? If you want to make change, if you want to see results, if you want to achieve something, you can't, everything can't be important, right? We need to take small steps, really like embody it, internalize it, and then we can take on more, whether it's habits or reaching out for support in a community like this. So I absolutely love that idea. Um,
Yeah.
and I want to know what got going on now. You are in the middle of a launch. Tell us what this is all about that you've got that you've created now.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to point out, we are in the middle of a launch. Um, after Mothers Together has been around since 2021, and I only started with like 11 moms, and they were total um, troopers because I was like, hey, we're going to build this plane as we fly it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I think you guys need to meet each other. And I broke them into two groups, one with 5 and one with 6, and they became Pod Squads number 1 and 2. Now we're on like 200, I believe. So it has been amazing to see that growth. But what I noticed over time was that moms who stayed in the community, they started to shift in the way that they carried themselves, the way they presented themselves. I met many moms and mothers together who they started off like super struggling with their mental health. They went on to start their own businesses, write a book. One is an IEP advocate now for helping parents in schools, and many other things. Someone started painting again, something she hadn't done for years. Um, when you have people behind you, connection, actual, true, deep connection is enough to push you towards making positive change for yourself. And so I noticed, and I ended up building the Mothers Together, sort of a metaphor around this, as I watched these moms go through these patterns that became predictable. This is what happens when moms heal. First this, and then this, and then this. And it's really pretty cool to watch. Knowing that once I discovered those patterns, my own included, I built Mothers Together around that concept. So essentially, even though it's virtual, and I should point out right now that we use the Marco Polo app. Marco Polo is a video messenger app. Mothers Together would not be anything without Marco Polo. We're not like affiliated with them. I just had a mom in the very first couple of groups say, hey, we should try this on Marco Polo. Because it is video messaging, you don't have to be, you're not live. You might send me a polo and I might not get it for 6 hours because we're in different time zones, but no big deal. You're sending me a video. And so then I'm popping on, I'm like, oh, what you're talking about is so real and relevant, but I'm looking at your face. I hear your tone of voice. So Marco Polo is where it's at, and thanks to them, this is how we operate worldwide. But I built the foundation around these stages of healing and growth. So with the launch that I'm doing right now, and I do quarterly launches in Mothers Together. And so when moms are first joining, I make it very clear because, like you said, I don't want to give them too much too fast. Right now, when you first join, you're here for stage 1. We think about a picture of a house. different rooms of the house. This is the front door. Like you were literally at the front door. And when you are here, when you arrive in this safe home, this safe community, you're going to be validated and you're going to be comforted and you're going to find relief. That's it. After a few weeks, now we'll talk about resources and strategies, but that is not the main purpose. And so in this launch, when moms are joining mothers together to give it a try, I'm stopping them right at the metaphorical front door. And the other moms here in Mothers Together, we say to them, hey, put down your bags. I know, imagine that you're driving up the driveway. You've got a whole trunk full of suitcases because you've been carrying some really heavy things for a really long time. And now you're here at the front door and we want you to put them down. They're not going to go away. They're still your bags. It's not that. But let's take a break from holding them for so long. Come on in. And so we build this metaphor really around that concept. And those first few weeks, watching moms, a new group come in, is magic. There are tears, there is laughter, there is shock. I can't believe there are other people here. Your story sounds just like mine. And because I really facilitate a um, sort of a circle type of situation. Moms who have been here for a while, they now have taken leadership positions and they catch the newbies and we go around and around. And so it's so special. It really is. Community is nothing without the people in it. And so I have given certainly the template to do this, but without the moms being willing to commit to each other and to themselves, we wouldn't be what we are now. So the launches, which one is going on right now, you're coming for validation and comfort, and that's first and foremost, and to meet your people.
Yeah, I can feel it. As you describe it, my whole body is just like, yes, I get it. This is the exact energy that we'd be looking for. Like, I'm feeling emotional just hearing you describe this space that you've created because it is so needed for so many of us, right? Um, and you're right in that there aren't certainly in like in person locally in our communities there aren't these opportunities that exist that are thoughtfully curated for us. Like there might be ones that pop up here and there in a Facebook group or whatever, and those, I mean, if that's where you're getting your support now and it's working for you, great. But knowing that there is this next level, that there is this all-encompassing sort of like great big hug available feels like next level, just game changing. And also then to have the support of the other platforms that you use to build community, right? You mentioned your podcast, which is a fantastic place for people who are looking for like just entry level, like no investment in money or really time. It can be in your ears as you're walking the dog, whatever. To get to know your style and to follow you on Instagram as well. Like that's a place, that's how I found you. The algorithm was like,
Yeah.
you guys need to meet, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I love what you're doing. I
Thank
love it.
you.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. What I found is that a lot of times moms say, well, this sounds when they don't know me yet and they don't know the community, this sounds kind of cool, but I'd rather somebody local. And
Yeah.
I would say, well, me too. But good luck. Good luck with that. But in addition to that, two things. One, um, getting the ability to leave your house is so challenging when we were raising neurodivergent kids. For me, a once a month coffee meetup with a group of women would not be enough. Nothing wrong with that. I think, laughter like sounds great, but that's not, I'm looking for back pocket. We just had school refusal yesterday. True story. It was a tough morning. And when all was said and done, I need to reach for my phone and find my people and say, oh my gosh, I just survived this thing. Like, can we talk about it? I need to vent. Not, let me save this for 3 weeks from now when we meet for coffee and it's more formal. So that's number one, and what I would say. Now, if you have a group of friends and you can be vocal, do it. I mean, do it, absolutely. But Mothers Together is for the moms who can't do that or, don't have that capability. The other thing though, and I just want to put this in here too. Now that we're 3 years in, we've had over 2,000 moms come through. Currently, I don't know, maybe 800 or so at the moment. They're all over the world. All over the world. We're in over 20 countries. The majority are in the US, but Canada is second, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, France, Italy, and many, many others. And there is something so cool about watching these moms meet first on Marco Polo locally, and then pretty soon they're meeting up for coffee if they can. I just had a group of moms in Arizona. They met at a park, they brought their kids, they had a picnic. Great. I have another group in the Seattle area. They meet for coffee once a month, but they already knew each other through Mothers Together. They met and connected on a deeper way there. I even had in New Zealand, of all places, New Zealand, small country and not many members there, but there's a handful. One mom, she joined a year and a half ago. Another mom joined recently. They are 20 minutes apart. 20
Wow.
minutes apart. And now that they have found each other in Mothers Together and established a relationship through Mothers Together, now they are meeting up. And one of them had an injury. The other one was dropping food off at her house. This is the stuff. But they would not, have found each other more easily without it. And so there are local pieces to it, but you have to be willing to say, okay, I'm ready to open up. I'm ready to put my thoughts and my feelings in a safe place with safe people. And yes, that's a step. It's a big step. It does require some trust. And I hope that I can help people feel that trust because I'm leading this movement. So I just wanted to add that piece in there about the local stuff because moms are always asking.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I love that it can go from this virtual online introductory deep dive getting to know each other and then be brought into the offline space. If
Correct.
and when that feels appropriate for the moms in the pods, right?
Correct.
Um, it just shows how far this support can go, how much it can infiltrate your life and support you and uplift you if that's how you choose to use it, right? I love
Correct.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as it's January and you're opening up doors, and I mean, for me on this podcast, I'm focused a lot in January on this idea of goal setting. And when I invited you on, I was like, I wonder if Megan has thoughts on how we set goals for ourselves as moms in this season where it feels very, I mean, often feels very pushy and prevalent, like you have to change, you have to have a goal, you need to improve yourself, whatever. Um, how can we fit in that space when, we might not be able to change a lot about our situation? There's a lot, I feel anyways, and I'm sure many people can relate to this. There's a lot of external circumstances, stimulus, requirements that are put on us that we can't change. Um, and so how do we create a change if we're looking for one
Right.
within that reality? Any thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I was actually just talking about this the other day because I do, even with such a support network that I have now, it's hard not to scroll through social media and it's just like, uh, be authentically yourself and, the goal setting, it comes across as fake because I'm a little bitter still because it's challenging here at home. And I love my children more than life itself. I can't even put into words. That's not what this is about. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. I'm burned out. And so the thought that other people can just make a quick decision, I think I'm gonna drop 20 pounds this year or something. It's like, come on. So what I have come to realize about this entire concept is that I cannot think about it on my own, just like everything else that I talk about. Remove myself from what society says January goal setting should be like. Society doesn't really understand my life. Instead, with your back pocket of women who are living the same life you are, now let's talk together. Let's make it a little more realistic, a little more family friendly. And let's say, no, we can't change our home lives. And many of us don't necessarily want to. I would like a little more sleep, but it's fine, no problem. But I'm not looking to change my situation. I'm looking to feel better about myself. That's what I'm looking for. And that shouldn't wait till January. That needs to be now, whenever people are listening to this, because um, we know that when we take care of ourselves, our children feel the effects, our partners feel the effects, our family and friends. We have got to take care of ourselves. We can't pour from an empty cup. So goal setting and New Year's resolutions and all of that for me has very little to do with, I'm going to drink more water, I'm going to go to bed earlier. Maybe, depending on how my kids are doing, like otherwise that may not happen and I'm going to fail in a week. How about this? I'm going to be a little kinder to myself. And instead of beating myself up all the time, I'm going to reach for my support group, my support network, and say, I'm feeling kind of low right now. We just had a tough night and I don't like how I'm feeling about myself. And when my friends say the right things, the kind things, because they understand, my resolution is to listen to them. I'm just going to like let their words